Hello everyone, welcome to the Pisces Guide to Pop Culture. I'm of course your host TJ. This week, or today, when I say this week, I'm before you every day. So this week I'm coming to talk about the Sirens by Amelia Hart, which was my book club pick for this month's Romantasy book club. I didn't pick it, it was chosen, but I really enjoyed it. I enjoyed it a lot more than I thought I would. It is very much in the tradition of, say, literary fiction. But I do think there's romance there. I think there's a lot of fantasy. Certainly there's a lot of magical realism. And I think it's really well worth a read. So the plot summary is essentially there's two different groups of women. Mary and Eliza are in 19th century Ireland and are being transported to Australia, having been convicted of assault. Whereas in the present, the young woman, I just have to Lucy, flees from her college after accidentally assaulting her former boyfriend, and she's trying to reconnect with her older sister Jess, and they both have this powerful relationship to the sea in Australia. And so much of the novel sort of toggles between their points of view as they all kind of grapple with the reality of who they are and what's going on. So there are going to be some spoilers because I don't think I can talk about this book without spoiling it. So in essence, both Mary and Eliza and Jess and Lucy are sirens or mermaids or merrows, because it's very much rooted in like Irish folktales and folklore and mythology. So clearly, from the beginning, it's obvious that all of these characters have a very rich relationship with the ocean, with the sea. Their skin peels away when they face water, but of course they think it's an allergy or something deadly, but in fact it's the sea bringing out their inner selves, and it is through the sea that they become these magical, beautiful, and also sometimes destructive female figures from mythology. So that's kind of the plot. This isn't a novel where a lot of plot happens. I mean, there are some mysteries, there are some enigmas that slowly get revealed, and I won't spoil too many of those. But it is, I think, more importantly, and I was talking about this at book club, it's much more a novel about feelings. It's a novel about the atmosphere, about women's experiences within the constructs and confines of patriarchy, the ways in which the institutions of patriarchy, whether that be the legal system, whether that be just society in general, often deprivileges female points of view and female experience in favor of men, with destructive and often catastrophic results. And so I really enjoyed that aspect. It reminded me of Madeline Miller's Circe, not just the Sirens part, but also that emphasis on female experience and the way that women kind of have to navigate the fraught territory of patriarchy in many ways. And so I really enjoyed that aspect of the novel. I really found, I'm not a particularly literary person. I mean, despite the fact that I have a PhD in English and I have a bachelor's in English and I write fiction, I'm much more of a genre writer and reader. But I do sometimes think that, there are some literary fictions that are really powerful and profoundly poignant and evocative. And the Sirens, I think, is one of those. It is very much in the tradition of magical realism, where the fantasy is kind of lurking in the background. And obviously, when the water peels the siren's skin away and they sort of metamorphose, that's very much related in a magical realist vernacular. And that's, fine. And I think there's something beautiful, there's something haunting about that. The points of view from Mary and Eliza in particularly are harrowing, because they're being transported to the Australia in the hold of a ship and are basically shackled together. And it's very haunting and bleak, as it would be. And I think that one of the things the novel points out is the extent to which these sort of traumas that women endure continue through generations. And then a nation like Australia, based literally on becoming a penal colony and brutal colonization and the exploitation of women and indigenous people, all of that is kind of lurking in the background and grappling with these. And all the characters are given, rich, well-developed backstories, whether that's Mary and Eliza in the past. Mary is the sort of dominant sister. Eliza is blind, but Eliza has a sort of second sight. In the present, of course, Lucy has her own struggles as she's kind of trying to figure out what's going on with Jess, who is an artist, and, their fraught relationship as sisters. And so there's a lot really going on, like I said, atmospherically, and, there's a lot of feeling and really kind of haunting experiences. And maybe it's because I now live close to the beach and I love beach stories, and I wanted to sort of elaborate too on the ways in which this novel is reclaiming the ocean. One of the other people at book club mentioned that so many sea narratives are driven by men and masculinity and patriarchy. Think of Moby Dick, all men in the sea. But this is sort of drawing on that other tradition of the sea, which is about women's relationship with water, with the tides, with the ways in which that is kind of I don't want to get too out there, but it's like amniotic fluid. Like there's something welcoming and womb-like about the ocean, and I think that's something that Hart captures extremely well, and I think is what makes the novel so powerful and so poignant, as these various women, despite the wide separation across the centuries, still have this relationship, this bond, even as, women are also positioned as potentially dangerous because they might be luring men to their doom, but maybe these men deserve it because they are, assholes and rapists. So clearly a lot of things going on in this book, even though, as I said, there's not a lot of plot per se. So anyway, this is, again, The Sirens by Amelia Hart. I do definitely recommend it. It is very beautifully and evocatively written. Hart is a great prose stylist. I haven't read her other work, but if for other first book is anything like this one, I think it would be great. So I definitely give this one the Pisces Guide to Pop Culture seal of approval. Made me feel things, made me get in my feelings, and that's always a good thing, I think, when it comes to fiction. So anyway, that is all I have for today for that particular installment of the Pisces Guide to Pop Culture. Great book. Do check it out. Once again, my book club is always knocking it out of the park when it comes to their choices. So that is all I have for today. So for the Pisces Guide to Pop Culture, I'm, of course, your host, TJ. Take care, y'all.